Hi, everybody. I'm Alexis. I am one of the co-presidents. I'm a clinical mental health graduate student, and this is my fourth year in Active Minds.
I'm Aaron. I'm the other co-president, soon to be bachelor's graduate with psych and Spanish. And this is my second year in Active Minds.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jordan. I'm a social work student, and I'm also on the leadership team for Active Minds.
2017 is when you started. So
I started Active Minds in 2017, so
4 years.
5 years, yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha. I'm the co-advisor for Active Minds. This is my first year co-advising and working with Active Minds. Then I'm a graduate student in the College Counseling Student Development Master's Program and am a graduate assistant for Healthy Husky.
All right, so before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that this is the last podcast of the school year. I know, hold your tears in. It's going to be okay. We'll come back next year, maybe. I just want to thank everybody who has taken the time to listen to our podcast so far. I was actually looking at our YouTube analytics the other day, and you can see like what platform people use to access the podcast. And there's one person who consistently watches us on their TV. And that idea makes me giggle a little bit. So shout out to that one person who watches Mental Health Mondays on their TV. So today we're going to be talking about our college experiences and what advice we would like to give to incoming students, first-year students, and also talk a little bit about our experience with Active Minds. So just to start off with, I'm going to open it up to the others to share their experiences, their college experience, what activities they've been involved in throughout the years, if college was what they thought it would be, or if they have any fun memories to share.
I think jumping right in, the easiest question to answer about college experience being what I thought it would be. Because of the pandemic, it's easy to give that one a hard no. Even going in to college, I didn't really know what to expect. I expected to make a bunch of friends very quickly and effortlessly because it's like high school amplified and you're in a similar degree field. So you meet like-minded people. And it took me a couple years to actually get involved and to make friends in college. So then when you throw the pandemic into it, it makes socializing and making friends that much harder. So nothing was really expected. And it took a lot of learning and adjusting to really get used to where we've gotten now.
Yeah, Aaron, I think you make an excellent point there. I think like people tell you college is so much better, and like on TV, you see college being like this really fun place that you make friends right away. So that's kind of a shock when you get to college and there's not as many people like begging to be your friend.
Yeah, I was very shocked because I feel like I'm pretty social, but I just wasn't at all. I was very shy and no one really, I'm kind of someone needs to take the first step towards me and then I'll start running towards you. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. And not in a creep. But yeah, it just wasn't like that. And I had to start like getting involved in being part of organizations and getting further into my degree field in order to like make friends and become really close with people.
What about the rest of you guys? Was that something you experienced?
Yeah, I definitely experienced that too. And just for reference, I did my undergrad at Hamline University. And I think what I like to tell students and kind of reflecting back on my college journey is like your college journey is what you make of it. So there's a lot of different paths and different activities and resources and organizations that you can be a part of, but it's really up to you to kind of take those action steps. But with that too, there are different challenges that can happen while you're a student in college and can kind of prevent you from having the experience that you want it to be. But I think it's really so up to you on how you want to achieve that goal or experience different activities and experience that you would in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think we kind of have an expectation of like everyone is going to be new here and maybe they'll be a little bit easier to make friends, but you really have to apply yourself and push yourself out of your comfort zones in order to meet people and get involved. It's not like laid out for you, you have to go find something on your own.
Mm-hmm. Like at Side Street and seeing posters, like people don't come up to you, you have to go to them. If you see their posters, you have to go find the room. If it's on side street, sometimes people walk up to you like with treats or something, or like a game, like, hey, do you want to spin this wheel or something? But most of the time you have to do it on your own. And especially during this pandemic, it's definitely not what it used to be. But at the start of my college experience, a lot of the organizations that were available, pre-pandemic, were always so welcoming. And a lot of them had really nice posters throughout campus. So, and Active Minds did too. Active Minds was a great, I remember when I first heard about Active Minds, it was during Side Street, and they had this nice table and people coming up to you, and they kind of approached you like, because they had something to sign for students to sign, and I signed it, and yeah.
And now you're here.
Right.
4 years later.
What brought you all to Active Minds?
So me personally, I've been hearing about it, and I was seeing the posters because I would see the corkboard and Stuart all the time. I was like, this looks very approachable. It sounds like something I want to do. I just didn't know anything about it. So I was tabling for Side Street for another organization, and I made a point to like go and look for you guys. And so I was able to do it and get on the email list and finally join. And I was very glad that I was able to.
What was appealing about Active Minds, Aaron?
I knew it had a mental health focus. And since that's the field I was going into, I just wanted to really amplify my scope on it and just get to know more people, and just any sort of knowledge that I could gain on it was ideal in what I was able to do with it.
That's very similar to my experience too. Finding people going through the similar experiences in life, whether it's with college experiences or just personal experiences, especially mentally. That's what brought me to Active Minds. Because, I was going through my own thing mentally, and just finding something other than counseling with a just single person. It was so much better having a group of students like yourself, as a group instead of that one-on-one with a counselor. So it was just a nice way to go through life and college, supporting each other and making friends and participating in events and activities.
Absolutely.
That sense of community is huge. And Active Minds is, we're not going to judge you. Like, it's a place of respect, and people who get your story. And Sam, I know Active Minds, your start to Active Minds was a little bit different than than anybody else here. What would you like to share about how you got involved in Active Minds and what you find appealing about Active Minds?
Yeah, so I got involved in Active Minds through my work with my graduate citizenship with Healthy Huskies. So there's a mental health programming component to my graduate citizenship. So through that, I work with Active Minds and CAPS on supporting different programming and students that go through those different organizations. And so it's been really great just to see students advocating for mental health, which is such an important topic. And I think really having that peer-to-peer support, especially when speaking about such difficult topics that we definitely need to speak about more, I found has been really beneficial for students on campus. Instead of having them talk to like a faculty or staff, just having students there to support one another.
Thank you for sharing, Sam. I totally agree. While Active Minds isn't a support group, it's definitely like a safe place to land, peer-to-peer support. And like we had mentioned before, just people that aren't going to judge you for your story, no matter what it is. It can be from, struggling with mental illness to failing a test, to conflict, to whatever it may be. Like, it's an open place to share your story.
And it's not like people in other kinds of organizations don't bring that. It's just, since we have more of that focus, like, a lot of us have been to counseling, a lot of us are just so into mental health that we just kind of have more of that experience or efficiency to, approach it that way, where you're more approachable. Because like in other organizations, like where they're not as mental health focused, they might not know how to react or how to respond to someone who needs a sort of support group or system like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I was going to say something similar to that about how other organizations and student clubs, their focus is, something else. And Active Minds, it's strictly focused on, human relationships and coming together with any mental struggles and just creating friendships and bonds. So.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys. That kind of brings me into the next question. I wanted to know, what were some struggles that you faced throughout your college experiences? And it doesn't necessarily have to be mental health related. It can just be something you found difficult as a college student, or maybe that wasn't part of the plan. The pandemic is a good example of that.
Yeah, the pandemic is, and then just finding your major that you want to major in. That's the one thing I struggled in, because I started out in psychology, and then I went to community psychology as my major, and then I went to social work. So I've tacked on some time in my college years.
No, I think uncertainty is something students definitely struggle with. And you had mentioned like it tacks some more time on to your college plan, which probably wasn't originally part of the plan. And I think that's really relatable for a lot of students. Like we picture, we're going to be done in 4 years, 6 years, and then life happens. And then we're here, however many plus years or semesters. And that can be really devastating to some students, especially like when you're so stuck on this idea of like, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to, move forward with my life.
Right.
What helped you overcome that challenge?
Talking to people that I love. So loved ones and talking to friends, and staying involved, with Active Minds when I was involved. Just making sure that I had, routes and avenues to remind myself that I'm not alone. Staying busy helped, but then at the same time, you need some downtime. So just finding that balance was a struggle to find, but eventually, working on that balance is what helped me through too.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by working on that balance?
Seeing what worked and what didn't work for self-care methods, and does laying in bed for an hour, is that good self-care? Is that relaxing, or does it make your thoughts race more? And for me, it made my thoughts race more. So staying busy was the alternative to that. But also relaxing at the same time, like watching funny YouTube videos and just like scrolling through Instagram or something, but not for long, because then you just feel unproductive. So finding that balance between like being productive and relaxing, it was hard, but I also had the privilege of coming home every weekend sometimes. So that was nice too, switching up the scenery from campus life to coming back home to my hometown, seeing the pets, animals. So
yeah, it sounds like having like a good mix of different coping skills.
Yeah, just finding what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you and Erin, Sam? What are some challenges you faced throughout your experience here?
I would say mine is I've overcome it now, but my biggest challenge was just procrastinating. I really struggled with like my time management, especially at the beginning of my college journey. So like really creating a schedule that worked for me was a challenge, and like actually making sure that I did that I completed homework assignments like before they were due, not like submitted them at like 11:59 p.m. Like that was a big struggle for me.
I still struggle with that up through the end of college. I guess I got to the point like, 'cause that's just how I've been probably my entire schooling career. And I'm not proud of it, and I really stress myself out about it, but I almost work better under pressure when it comes to it. And I can crank out like a good enough assignment somehow like at 11:50 and get it done. So not proud of it, but it happens. But time management is something I definitely need to look forward to and work towards, because that's something that will catch up with you, and it doesn't work the greatest for everybody. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those examples are super genuine and authentic as a college student. I think anyone at any time of life, struggles at least a little bit with procrastination and time management. So that's constantly a work in progress. What are some things you guys do? Like, how did you get, two of you are graduating, Sam and Aaron. So not Sam and Aaron, Jordan and Aaron. So how did you get to that point of being able to graduate? And then Sam, you're in grad school as well. So you've got your bachelor's, you're in grad school, which is tougher than undergrad. So how do you manage your time?
How I kind of do it is I break whatever assignments or like goal, whatever I need to accomplish. I break it up into smaller goals. I found that that's helpful instead of being like, I have to write this like 12-page paper, kind of break it down so that I write like 2 pages every week. On this week, I'm looking for sources, just breaking down what you're working on, which like it's easy to say, but it's so hard to do because a lot of discipline is involved because you need to like actually time manage yourself. But I found that has helped a lot, just breaking up what you're doing instead of focusing on like the really big goal for like 1 week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I learned too, was breaking up tasks into smaller achievable tasks. But it is hard, like what you said about, because you have to stay focused even when you split up those tasks. So
yeah, that part was tough for me, especially during the pandemic, because I'm such like a tactile learner that being on Zoom has really affected me, where I need to like I'm such better in person, where I can be there and be involved, and I feel more involved by being there physically, and I feel more of a responsibility than hopping onto Zoom. So I've had a lot of trouble learning and adapting with that, and even like remembering assignment deadlines, because that's something like at the end of each class they still kind of do, but professors would be like, just remember you have this due on Friday or something. Right. And that's something I was better able to latch onto before, and so it's something I've had to work towards. I just try to keep the big things in mind that I need to get done, and then I'll get those done.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely difficult to be focused as a college student. And I like that you brought up the point of the pandemic, Aaron. That threw like a curveball on everything, because then we had online, and online doesn't always feel as real sometimes. When we're in person, like, you see your classmates bring out their homework or whatever, and you're like, oh man, I should have got that done. Mm-hmm. And then you like quick try to get it done, or you have classmates to remind you in person. You have professors that are like, will remind you, whereas D2L and Zoom, you don't always have those reminders. And it's easier to like turn off your computer, and you're away from thinking about classes. So bringing it back to the general experience of being a college student, what's some advice you would give to incoming students or some first year students?
To be gentle on yourself. You're going to feel a lot of pressure to feel like you got to figure everything out, know what you're going to do. It's going to take some time, but you will get there. And to just be kind to yourself, even when you don't want to be, just to be kind to yourself. And if you're feeling like your thoughts are racing, like just stand up and keep yourself busy, go clean something, go for a walk, do something. Just be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I've almost got the opposite, but it still kind of ties into it. So with me, like I said, it took me a while to actually get involved. So as far as academically, plan, and stay at it. Like write everything down that you need to keep yourself on track. Because like I said, you'll fall into that procrastination cycle again. And that's something that I was always start to do and then teeter off again. As far as like the social aspect of it, be kind to yourself and don't be afraid to take a step back. But definitely put yourself out there, because college will go by very fast. And so you want to be able to grab every opportunity that you can, or as many as you're comfortable with, so you don't really leave behind that feeling of regret or sadness that you may have missed out on something that you really wanted to do or feel bad about missing out on.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
Yeah, my advice would be similar to Erin's too. It's just to kind of challenge yourself, to try new things and put yourself out there, even though sometimes that might be a little hard to do, but you'll never get these years that you're spending at college back again. And like, this is your time. So I say really take chances of all the opportunities that you can get and just really do things that you enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point, because now's the time to do it. So.
Mm-hmm. It does go by quick. It really does. I'm going on my 6th year now, or finishing up my 6th year. I'll graduate at the end of my 7th year, hopefully, if it goes according to plan. And there's been moments, don't get me wrong, that have dragged on, but most of it has gone by so quickly. And I agree with all of you. Like, if I could go back in time and do more, talk to more people, I definitely would. I think with taking those chances and getting out there, one thing that I didn't really realize as a freshman is how much networking means, like having connections, like having good relationships with your professors and faculty. Like, you never know when you might need a reference, or they have connections to jobs, internships. My partner and I almost rented a house from somebody that we knew on campus. Like, you never know, like, who knows who and how they can help you. And it's also just nice to like have professors remember you, like if you pass them in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you were talking, the other thing that came to mind in the similar vein of things is I wish I would have spent less time on my phone. Like, I was always like looking at social media when things got awkward, or like just never like really appreciating a moment, and it all just kind of flew by. So if I could go back, I would tell myself to be on devices less and just like appreciate the moment. And bringing this back into the mental health focus, how can students support each other in their mental health journey?
I think one way students can do this, or with each other, is just to really listen to one another and like check in with your friend. I think that's really important because you're in a college setting and like the only people you may be seeing are other college students. So like checking in with your friend, and even if you may not know that person so well, like they might just be in your class, like it's so okay to check in with them if you notice something has changed. I think that's just one of the first steps of how you can support other students' mental health, and then just be there for them and be there and ready to listen to whatever support they need.
Mm-hmm. For sure, definitely checking in. If something seems a little bit off, even just saying, hey, you okay?
Yeah, definitely checking in and knowing that you have people that you can talk to no matter what, and that nobody's going to judge you because they just want to listen and help you as best that they can.
What would you tell a student, maybe their first year on campus? So that's a pretty big year. You're transitioning away from your parents. You're learning independence. Everything's new. You don't know people yet. What advice would you give to them regarding their mental health?
I would say like it's okay to ask for help and support. It's like transitioning to college, like Alexa said, like it's totally new for first year students when they do it, and it can be a challenge, and it's okay to not go through it alone. So asking for help is okay too.
Yeah, asking for help, and then since you are away from, your home with people that you used to live with, and you're on campus now in a dorm or an apartment, there's that newfound level of independence where you can find yourself and just really dive into that. Find things that you like, that you don't like. And when you do get overwhelmed, that it's okay to talk to somebody, whether it's a friend or utilizing the counseling services on campus.
Sure.
I feel like just knowing and utilizing all the resources you have that you are able to and that are available is a really important thing. Like the counseling center, like I didn't use it again until like my second or third year. So it took a bit of time before actually going through with it. So just actually taking the step to use them, because they're there and included in your tuition in most cases, to just go through it, it will really pay off at the end. It's just the matter of committing to it.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. And there's a lot of resources on campus. All right, so that brings us to our wrap. Thank you all who have listened to the podcast throughout the semester and last semester as well. There'll be resources in the comments as always. Take care.